first question I was going to ask you is just tell me first your name and then.
I'm Bob Federman.
And then just do your name and tell me how you got into this.
Into the sport?
Yeah.
You want to know the whole story? How I got into it?
As much
Well,
story as you like.
I was in a karate school with my friend, and I was down at the local hangout, the bar, and I was listening. I was having a beer on a Sunday night, and I was listening to these guys talk. The guy had a starter shirt on, you know, for a drag race, the flag, checkered shirt, and I overheard him say he was in a nudist camp that day to pick up some skydivers. So right away my ears perked up, and this is back in '63, and I was training for the World Karate Championships in August. And we were about 2 weeks away, and I went up to him and I asked him, I said, "Where the hell do they skydive? Where is this place?" And he says, "It was Lake Geneva. There's a drag strip up there, and in between the drag strips, they took off with the airplane. And there's a pea gravel bowl over there, and a bleacher stand where you can watch skydiving and drag racing." So I said to my friend in karate, Jim Bohr, I said, "Let's go up and see this skydiving stuff." And he said, well, the next Sunday, him and I went up there, and we watched the guys open up about 1,500 feet, 3 of them. And I said, "Man," I got to do that. And Bohr said, "You're nuts. Federman, you are nuts. I want no part of that." So we went back in the karate class, and next weekend was the karate tournament. So we were both fighting in the brown belt division because our sensei teacher wanted us to be qualified higher than what we were fighting at. We were fighting in the brown belt division, but we were more qualified black belt. So I got disqualified, I think, on my 3rd match, and my friend took 3rd place in the brown belt division. So the next day, we went back. It was in the Chicago Stadium, by the way. And the next day, we went back to karate class, and my sensei said, "Jim, I'm going to promote you to black belt." But he was, you know, pretty proud of a 3rd place trophy. And he said, "Federman, I'm going to hold you back to the North American Championships in October." And I said to myself, because, you know, naturally my teacher was a 5th degree black belt. You don't disrespect or dishonor your karate teacher. So I said to myself, well, screw this, and him too. And I said, "I'm going skydiving." So I packed up my karate uniform and said adios. And I went skydiving.
Nice.
And I went up there the next weekend and took my training. And I only had 1 jump, but I made the 2nd jump. By the end of 1964, I had 100 jumps. And I was down in Florida over the Christmas vacation. And got my first jump out of a DC-3. And in the spring of 1965, I was jumping, you know, 1-1s at the time, round parachutes with the slots cut in with a soldering iron. That's what they did in those days.
I didn't know that. I did not know.
Yeah. But anyway, in the building reserve. So in the spring of '65, I think it was Mother's Day, it was pretty windy out, and I made a downwind landing. And I dislocated my arm, my shoulder, come right out of the ball, come out of the socket. And I was in the hospital for a few days. And I couldn't jump half the summer. I ruined half the summer jumping. And I got back in jumping in the fall of '65. I had about 150 jumps. And I ran into my friend who's a black belt in karate now, and he's still into it. And he was inebriated, to say the least, when I found him in a bar. And I said, hey, why don't we go skydiving tomorrow? And he says, he was feeling down in the dumps because he just broke up with his wife. And he says, sure. He says, I'll give it a try. And he'd never been on an airplane before. So the next morning, I knew where he lived. The next morning, I went over to his apartment, and he was laying on the bed with no sheets or nothing on it, and he still had his clothes and shoes on. And he was just laying across the mattress, the bare mattress. So I tried to wake him up, and I couldn't, so I just rolled him up into a roll, threw him over my shoulder, and ran down the stairs and threw him in my 65 Chevy station wagon. And I trained him on the way to the airport. So when we got to the airport, I dropped him off the tailgate, did a couple PLFs. This guy was a tremendous athlete. And it was too windy to jump for students. It was okay for, experienced jumpers like myself. By then I had a PC, Paracommander, 65. And my friend, I thought, well, I'll put him in the cornfield so he don't get drugged. So I put him in the cornfield, and he did a perfect exit off the plane, perfect body position and everything. And I went sailing below him, and I opened about 1,000 feet lower. And I'm standing on the ground when he come in, and he did about 15 rows into the cornfield. This is before they had corn like 2 inches apart. You could walk into a cornfield without no trouble. But anyway, he's in the cornfield, and he did a perfect feet together, going in backwards. And I'm telling him, what to do, yelling at him. And he landed, and he jumps up and he says, how soon can we do that again? And he was hooked.
That's good.
Yeah. And he went on to make 8,000 jumps. He was the head pilot here at Roger Nelson's DZ right here.
Nice.
When he died, he shot himself with a gun, accidentally. He was in the quick draw with a pistol, and he had a habit of looking down the barrel. And he had an old, 45 that you had to cock it for it. Yeah, with your hand you cock it, and he went like this, looked down the barrel, and it went off. Shot him in the eye with a 45. That was enough for him. This was back in '65, but prior to that, we jumped together for many years, and I